So at the time of this recording, both the NASDAQ QQQs and the S&P 500 is currently pulling back, with the NASDAQ currently down 0.41% and the S&P 500 down 0.35%. Now on the NASDAQ QQQs, even though we're currently pulling back, I am overall looking for a move to 616, which I do believe is going to mark a top in the markets. And backing up my thesis that we're going to see a top very soon in the markets is the fact that we're currently forming a bearish rising wedge, which is similar to this pattern right here before we saw this breakdown. With that said, I'm overall looking for a pullback down to 495 and then a pullback to 450. And for the S&P 500, I am looking for a pullback down to 574 and then a pullback down to 532. With all that said, now is not the time to be bullish at the top because there is more risk to the downside than there is potential rewards to the upside. Now, last week I told you guys that if Robinhood can get above 143, then look for a run to 147. And if the stock could get above that level, then we'll most likely see a run to 152. Take a listen. Now to the upside, if Robinhood can break above 143, then look for a run to 147. And then if the stock can get above 147, then look for a run to 152. And from current price, we're looking at a return of over 9%. So looking at the current chart, you guys can see that my analysis was 100% accurate, with Robinhood breaking above 143, then getting to 147, and then eventually up to 152, where it then got rejected. With that said, if you want to know where your favorite stocks and the markets are headed next, then consider subscribing to the channel. Now, in that same video in which I covered Robinhood stock, I also gave you guys my analysis on ticker symbol COI and Coinbase. And I said if the stock could get above 347, then look for a run to 374. And if the stock could get above 374, then look for a run to 391, where the stock is now being rejected. Take a listen. Now to the upside, if Coinbase can get above 347 and use this level as support, then I want you guys to look for a 8% run to 374. If the stock can get above 374, then look for a run to 391. And once again, as you guys can see, my analysis was 100% accurate. Now, after yesterday's huge deal announcement between OpenAI and AMD, Bank of America says that they're now bullish on AMD stock. Take a listen.
Joining us now, Vivek Arya, Bank of America senior semiconductor analyst. He's bullish on this deal and just raised his price target for AMD to $250 from $200. Vivek, thanks so much for joining us. So what do you make of this deal, and especially what do you make of the concerns that this sort of increases the circularity between OpenAI and all of its vendors and the relationships between all these companies kind of financing each other?
Sure. Good morning. I think before we talk about the suppliers, it's important to understand that OpenAI is eating computing power like Pac-Man. They have 800 million weekly active users, probably getting to 1 billion users by the end of the year. And this is within 3 years of them forming. It took Facebook 8 years to get to 1 billion users. And every one of the users that OpenAI has on their network is consuming tremendous amount of tokens and computing capacity. So the company has to build out a lot of infrastructure, which it is doing with the help of cloud service providers. And for that, it needs to partner with these leading semiconductor companies. Today, Nvidia is the incumbent. OpenAI has signed deals with Broadcom, and now it has signed this deal with AMD. But it's also important to realize, second point, that OpenAI is going to be one of the many ecosystems that develops in this AI industry, right? There's going to be an ecosystem developed around Meta or Amazon or Google, right? The many different neoclouds that are forming. So this is going to be a broad, diversified industry with chip makers participating, which is why we are not as worried about the circularity of this, because if you look at the total of the deals that OpenAI has signed with Nvidia and AMD, they will probably end up being less than 5 or 10% of the overall deployment. So no, we are incredibly bullish about this build out. And I think companies like Nvidia, Broadcom, AMD, and others are very well positioned to take advantage of it.
Now, going into the rest of the video, I have some important levels for you guys to watch on ticker symbol NVDA, Nvidia, Qualcomm, ticker symbol QCOM, and Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD. Let's begin with Nvidia, ticker symbol NVDA. So current support for Nvidia right now is going to be at 183. If the stock cannot stay above this level, then I want you guys to look for a 3% pullback down to 180. If 180 breaks, then look for a pullback to 176. And if 176 failed to hold as support, then look for a further pullback down to 172. And from current price, we're looking at a decline of 7%. Now to the upside, if Nvidia can stay above 183, then I want you guys to look for a 2% run to 191. And if buyers can push the stock above 191, then look for a run to 195. Above 195, the bull's next target is going to be at 203. And from current price, we're looking at a return of over 9%. Next, we have Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD. So overall, I am quite bearish on Robinhood stock, and I'm looking for a pullback down to 124 and then a pullback down to 107. With that said, current support is going to be at 143. If the stock cannot stay above this level, then I want you guys to look for a 7% pullback to 134. If 134 breaks, then we're looking at a pullback to 129. And if 129 breaks, then we're looking at a further pullback down to 124. Now to the upside, if Robinhood can stay above current support at 143, then I want you guys to look for a 4% run back to 152. Next, we have Qualcomm, ticker symbol QCOM. So current support for Qualcomm is going to be at 163. If the stock cannot stay above this level, then I want you guys to look for a 4% pullback to 158. And if 158 failed to hold that support, then look for a further pullback down to 153, which from current price would be a decline of 7%. Now to the upside, if Qualcomm can stay above current support at 163, then I want you guys to look for a 5% run back to 175. And if the stock can get above 175, then look for a run to 181. Overall, to the upside, I'm looking for the stock to get to 188. And from current price, we're looking at a return of over 13%. Alright guys, if you like today's video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. And if you're currently watching and you're not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.